The windows I am fitting are supplied by Jackson's Leisure. They're called an Adventurer window and they're curved to meet the profile of the van. They are 450 by 900 and 400 by 700. They come with this that attaches and clamps the window to the van. We need to put a piece of wood in here to allow it to clamp against the side of the van. When cutting out the window, you need to make sure it is absolutely spot on measurement, so keep measuring. I use these templates to hold up against the side of the van. Here's a template against the side of the van. That is 11 centimetres by 13 centimetres. Same on the driver's side. Using 25 by 50mm roofing battens, I've created this frame that bolts to the inside of the van. Then when you install it, that goes over the top, and you put these screws in and it clamps against it. I've masked it off, and using a jigsaw I've just cut along a guideline. Can you see I've used this painter's tape as a guide, and it stops the van side getting scratched as well. Cut out, we need to sand the edges, prime the edges and cut off some bits on the inside. These strengthening cross members have to be cut off. You need something under there to protect it while you cut it off. You could use a slitting disc or an angle grinder. I prefer to use a multi-tool. Just weaken it and then wobble it and snap it off. Primed all the bare exposed metal with this stuff inside and out, so now I'm ready to stick the window in. I'm going to stick a bead of Sikaflex 221 right around this outside channel, close into the edge as possible, but nice and high, higher than the edge profile. Got a nice bead of sealant in there, ready to go on. Quick wipe down with some alcohol wipe. Here's the inside showing the cutout ready for the side pod to be placed in position. Got the other side. All we've done is drill some holes, and then we use a jigsaw to follow the inner skin of the van, cut all the way around. Put a suction pad on here, leave a little bit of metal, so when you drop it out you just cut the little bits away and then it pulls out. The side pods have now been glued up and just clamped in position. I'll leave these overnight just to give the sealant plenty of time to dry. There we go. Starting to look like a camper van from the outside now. The next job is an awning rail. We're fitting a Vamoose rail to the side of the van, so I've just marked it up and drilled some pilot holes. I've put Sikaflex 221 on the back of the Vamoose rail. I just need to screw it in position and then seal around the rail. That's the Vamoose awning rail completed. Here's a quick recap on what we've done so far. So we've fitted a window on the passenger side and a pod bump out on the passenger side. Above that we've fitted a Vamoose rail for an awning. On the driver's side we've fitted a window and also a bump out. We've also fitted insulation above the cab and fitted a cab locker. So in total this represents about 3 days work so far. We've also fitted an extended door arm here to allow the door to slide with the bump out stroke pod fitted. The next step is to lift the factory floor and insulate and then refit. To take up the factory floor, first we need to undo the shackles using a spline drive. Just behind the sliding door where the factory floor joins, mark where the line where the boards join, and also mark a bit further back. I'm going to create a channel to lay utilities under there, so conduit and water pipe. Also, you need to scrape the silicone off, so we're going to stick a floor down on top of here. So that's all the shackles removed. That's not the only method that the floor is held down by. Underneath it is glued down by like a tar substance, so if possible pick a warm day and get something like one of these pump wedges. You can rip the floor up, but I found it easier to push these under like this. And then pump them up and it starts lifting the floor, and then you can get a piece of wood in and gently prise it up, letting the tar gradually break away from the floor of the van. One side, you can start hearing it cracking as it slowly breaks away. And keep repeating this and work your way along the floor until it's fully lifted. There you can see the tar under there. You just want to break it away and slide a piece of wood in there to remove it. Right, the floor is now up. We can see the band of tar right up the middle of the van holding it down. We need to clean that off best we can and give the floor a wipe over. We've got to clean all the tar off the middle of the board, and we've got these little pieces of wood with felt. We need to remove those. Same on this. Remove all these little blocks. So that's the tar almost completely removed. Just got this one bit left. Here's the big ball of tar that I pulled up. The easiest way I found to lift it up is squish the ball of tar in and then pull it. And it just pulls off like that. Nice and clean. Now that the van's nice and cleaned out, what I've done is I've gone round all these shackle holes and used the bolts that came with the shackles and placed them back in the holes. I've also marked a 70mm channel across the middle of the van there and down the back side here. This is going to be used for services, so we're going to run hot and cold water from the back. The water tank's going to be inside in the back here, and we're also going to run mains cables across here to the kitchen pod, and also 12 volt that way and that way. I've now cut up 8 3.6 metre 50 by 25mm roofing battens and created a grid pattern on the floor of the van.
in the back of the van here, that's 300mm noggins, and in the front here is 325mm noggins. I'm going to fix it down with Soudall Fix All. Use some of these spacers that came off the factory fitted floor to fit under certain parts to raise it up, and also self-drilling screws. I've glued the roofing battens down with the Soudall Fix All and put the original floor back in and place lots of heavy weight on top whilst the Fix All sets. So I'll leave this overnight now, come back in the morning, lift it all out and then insulate in between the battens.